yields back, and the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Georgia's 1st District, the vice chair of the subcommittee, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank each of you for being here. This obviously is extremely important, as you all know, and it's important in our country, it's important in our world, and this is the future right here. I mean, the global satellite marketplace is estimated to be worth $40 billion by 2030. And, you know, we had approximately 4,000 satellites have been launched in the last 10 years. And in the next 10 years, that number is expected to quadruple. And, you know, it's just overwhelming what's happening here. So we all understand that. I want to ask you, I'll start with you, I'll start with Mr. Goldman. Tell me how, just very briefly and succinctly, how can we balance efficiency with safety and sustainability as we legislate here? Tell me what we can do.
Thank you so much for the question. Fortunately, I think the bills that you have in front of you are striking a very good balance on doing that. Your point is exactly right. In order to be able to have a robust, competitive market, everybody has to be efficient. And so by identifying that and putting it at the forefront and saying that everybody needs to use their resources, whether it's the spectrum resources or the orbits, your resources in space, making sure that you're as efficient as you possibly can is the only way that we're going to be able to continue this going and reach those numbers that you were talking about for the economy.
Mr. Davidson, your opinion?
So I agree with that, and I would say also that there need to be some requirements in terms of transparency. So as you're applying for a license, you have to be, your satellites should be trackable. We need to know where they are. We need to know what the relationship with others are going to be. We need to know what the interference levels are going to be. And this can all happen pre-licensing. And then we can also look at the issue of maneuverability. Do we need to be able to move satellites around in orbit to avoid interference or take other measures? So these are all things that can be looked at the very beginning of the process. And it needn't be bureaucratic or slow as long as you have the right number of engineers and scientists kind of looking at how these are going to interact with each other.
Okay, fair enough. All right,
let's jump in just on the maneuverability.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Thank you very much. On maneuverability, I just wanted to add that the importance of a technology-neutral approach to maneuverability. So in other words, when Congress is looking at new statutory language, instructing the FCC on new orbital debris policies, allowing for companies to innovate their way to maneuverability, so mandate the desired outcome and let people innovate to get there, versus mandating a specific requirement for propulsion or other kind of specific, technology-specific requirement. I would also add, just on the point of transparency, I think in addition to everything that happens at the Commission prior to launch, I think it's incredibly important for space operators in the LEO environment to be communicating with each other to avoid conjunctions. We, as Planet, published our ephemeris data, which tells where our satellites are and where they're going. Operators like SpaceX do as well, but not everybody does that. And I think Congress can play an important role, policymakers can play an important role in encouraging industry to come to standards and best practices around sharing that kind of information.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for using the word encouraging as opposed to mandate. When you first started talking, I don't like that word, but you know, and I couldn't agree with you more about innovation. We want to encourage innovation, and sometimes the best way we can do that is to get out of the way. So, well, let me switch gears real quick. I represent a lot of South Georgia. You know, we like to say in Georgia there are two Georgias. There's Atlanta and everywhere else. Well, I represent everywhere else, and we got a broadband problem, particularly in South Georgia, and particularly with reliable broadband connectivity. And just tell me about the regulatory barriers that exist, or do you feel like may exist at FCC and NTIA? Have they added to the current digital divide that we see how that's due to the licensing of a satellite system? Mr. Goldman?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, you know, Starlink, our broadband system is built specifically to bring broadband to everywhere else. So we appreciate that. Yeah, unfortunately, the FCC right now is saddled with old rules that were developed decades ago, frankly.
We just had them on the first panel, and you know, it's something we were asking about.
Yeah, and I think that the commissioners, the current crop of commissioners, have all mentioned it, have all talked about the importance of updating the rules, and we really do appreciate, kind of on a bipartisan basis, they've been recognizing that. But it really
Are they doing it? I mean, recognizing it and doing it is two different things.
They have a number of rulemakings that they're working on right now that hopefully will get us there soon.
Nice way of saying no. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm running out of time. Go ahead and finish up.
No, I'm sorry. That's
All right, all right. All right, well, I'm out of time, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll yield back.
The gentleman's time has expired, and he yields back, and the chair now recognizes the gentlelady